If you're endorsing Hamas, full stop, you're on the wrong side of things. Saying, well, what are they supposed to do then, does not mean you get to do the worst thing. People are talking about me unfollowing Frogan, so I'll explain why since she wants to talk about it. Murdering children, burning families alive in their safe house is not a revolution. Oh yeah, I saw this. Leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of a revolution happening in America, but as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. It's not just like, if you're pretending that what Hamas does is some kind of like revolutionary action is just ridiculous and deeply counterproductive and detrimental to the Palestinian cause. Like, it hurts them, you know? The conflation of Hamas with Palestinian rights advocacy is something that Netanyahu wants. He wants people to think of those two things in the same breath. Ethan Prob was like this dumb Arab support. Wait, Ethan Klein will follow me, Lamau. Why am I sad, Lamau? Ethan, I'll support the idea for follow me. Ethan Prob was like this damn Arab supports Hamas. Man, why do I get such bad vibes off this behavior? Like clout sharky, this is all internet personality drama, like whatever. If you actually thought that Ethan was like complicit ideologically in the destruction of the Palestinian people, why would you like? I would what is this? Like, this isn't an appropriate way to react if you think that. It's like, oh, haha, I'm just doing my like lefty LARP speech. Why am I like? Why are there social consequences to me like pretending that murdering civilians is revolutionary or whatever? She doesn't take anything seriously, it seems. Yeah, well, because the impression that I get in a lot of cases with people like this online is that it's all about the aesthetic LARP. It's all about getting to look like a super duper ultra lefty person or whatever. Yeah, I know she's a Hassan mod. You know, like latte leftist types, exactly. Didn't Ethan literally rep PCRF back in 2021? Ethan is based. Irony poisoning? Yeah, part of it is irony poisoning, but I think a lot of it just refers to a, like, deep disinterest in politics as a serious mode of thought. It's all lunch table politics, you know? Like, doesn't this sound like, hey, haha, it was just a joke, come back to the table, we're all having lunch, we're having a good time, haha, like that, you know? Like, whoa, social consequences to my just offhand statements, haha. She probably thinks you're literally Voldemort. I've never directly interacted with her. I saw she got Twitch partner like ages ago when she was a lot smaller, and I messaged her and said congrats, and that's the only time I've interacted with her. But yeah, she probably hates me or whatever, I don't know. It's pretty bad. Bet she hasn't deleted her tweets. Why would she delete her tweets? Why are you pretending she thinks Ethan is bad? I don't know what you mean. Does Ethan follow you? Yeah. You've seen this one. She's been on a goddamn rampage. No, how about you try again with not endorsing a terrorist organization or clearly condemning them? How hard is that for you? White people are so insane. I wish I was as smooth-brained as people on this website. Clearly condemn. Oh, we're being racist now. And she apparently liked this response to her tweet. I don't like, man, yeah, it's pretty dumb. Shit like this is so destructive to Palestinian people, you know? It, like, I don't know why you would see, like, I am observing that Netanyahu and Israel's right-wing cronies desperately want to associate Hamas with Palestinian liberation. Let me take the wise choice of doing the exact same thing, you know? And then you had, like, yeah, you have, like, DSA chapters who are like, we support Hamas and their liberation struggle or whatever, and it's, like, all over the place. There are a bunch of left movements that are never going to be able to reclaim their perceived legitimacy after this. Oh, this is how she framed it, by the way. That feel when one of your favorite content creators unfollows for being pro-Palestine. That's why she's saying Ethan Klein unfollowed her. Lady, there's a massive difference between pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas. What's it like being brain dead? She doesn't actually engage with anyone who disagrees with what she's saying. Like, I've seen, because I see the drama on my timeline, she's like reply to shit like this, but it's like she never actually engages with anything, you know? It's all just lunch table politics. It's all just like, oh, haha, we're being flippant, we're being lefty. What's the solution then? Violence is all they have left. I refer you to like the past 20 hours of content that I've done in this subject where I've extensively talked about this specific issue. If you're endorsing Hamas, full stop, you're on the wrong side of things. Saying, well, what are they supposed to do then, does not mean you get to do the worst thing. Like, I acknowledge the fact that the situation is f***ed and there aren't really any like easy ways out or whatever. That doesn't then mean you get to do whatever you want. Like, if you, like, that's not like, oh, well, we know that we don't know what's good, but that doesn't mean we can't do what we know is bad. Like, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know how to fix this like broken game console. You know, let me like smash it with a hammer or something. Can't like, well, you don't have a solution. It's really ridiculous. Second thought was also being a psychopath. This second thought is a fascist. I know. He's just a fascist. Literally, the last time he does that deprogram pod or whatever, remember when we looked at some of the statements made by Hakeem, and it turns out that he was a slavering lunatic when it comes to Kurds. Like, I was like, oh, Hakeem, the one who wants to like rape Kurdish women to death, and people in chat were like, that was a very uncharacteristically severe statement from you. And then we take a look, and there's like records and records of him defending like Haddam. I'm so tired, man. Saddam Hussein's war crimes against the Kurdish people, like tens of thousands of them being bombed to death and gassed and stuff. And Hakeem was like, that didn't happen. And if it did happen, it was actually like based actually. And also they probably did it to themselves. He literally said that, by the way, that Iran did it to them. Oh, is this a bit from their live stream podcast or whatever?
Thank you very much. He says, did the Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news? I don't care.
Yeah, the occupiers are not civilians. That is what it comes down to. Like, if imagine like if
sorry, go on.
Germany, you know, let's say Germany to be non-controversial, invaded the United States, and they said, you know what, Cincinnati, Ohio is our ancestral home, and you know everyone knows that's blatantly false.
I'm always saying this,
but they take your home, they murder your grandma, they bulldoze like your neighbor's house. Are those people civilians there? No, they're occupiers, and those are criminals. Yeah. That is, there are no civilians there in the illegal military occupation.
Yeah. So that's number one, very beautifully put. Number two, much more importantly, the track record of Palestinians has been 1,000 times better than that of the Israeli occupation, despite the fact that Israeli occupation does not need to brutalize.
I feel like it takes a very special kind of person to trip at the finish line, you know? Imagine being, and these guys aren't like pro-Palestinian because they believe in human rights. They're pro-Palestinian because they're anti-West. But like, imagine accidentally arriving at 99% of the correct position, and then you have to be like, actually, you're not a civilian if you're a colonizer. Or some just insane bullshit like, well, if you twist every involved definition, actually being in an area that is where 80 years ago they took land means you're not a civilian. Like, okay, sure. Right? Like by this definition, like there aren't any civilians everywhere or like anywhere, depending on where you want to draw that line. Like that's incredibly stupid. There's a very clear line between civilian and military. Like, why not just say, they literally could just say, yeah, they took civilian casualties. What do you expect given like the situation Israel has put in the region? Like literally, that's all they have to say. Like, yeah, there were civilian casualties. What do you expect? Look what Israel has done. Look at how they've used human shields. Look at how they've occupied these territories. Look at how they've deprived like Palestinians of any means of reprisal. But like, it's so easy, but they trip at the final hurdle because again, their ethics are not our ethics. We believe in human rights. They don't. They just don't like the West. So to them, they're probably anti-Semitic. If Hakeem feels the way he does about Kurdish people, I cannot even, the concentration of Hitlerite particles present in this podcast concerning Jewish people must be impressive. So their ethics will also be about dehumanization. Really no different fundamentally from Netanyahu's or the far right in Israel, just to a different side. That's what makes us different, us special. And by us, of course, I mean lefties. Japanese Voshite here. I watched a clip from Deprogram trying to argue why it's okay to kill civilians, and it's literally just the same cope from the worst crazy Japanese ultranationalists trying to justify their war crimes. Well, because like again, if you're approaching things from this really malleable framework that allows you to dehumanize the opposition, you'll always be able to find logic to justify it. There's like almost always something you can do or say, right? Because like some people would say, well, that's not that slippery of a slope. Like Israel is an existing ongoing occupation project, which is true. But then people will go on to say like, oh, over here in America, if Native Americans decided to start killing white Americans, like they'd probably deserve to do that too. And hold on, America is not a current ongoing occupation project. That's ridiculous. That occupation project finished when we won. Like you can say that's bad, but you can't pretend that's not true. That this is not like an ongoing effort. Israel's politics are currently oriented around the destruction of the Palestinian people. The average American neither knows about nor cares about Native Americans. Like, Canada is more engaged in an ongoing occupation project than the United States of America. It kind of is for Hawaii to some degree. Oh, actually, yeah, I'd agree. With Hawaii, I would agree. Yeah, Hawaii is more of an ongoing occupation project, whereas in the rest of, I don't know, is there an Alaska? I don't know much about Alaska's situation. Indigenous genocide is still ongoing. Yeah. But again, there's a difference between there are still indigenous people who are oppressed in our country and there's an ongoing colonization project. Those are two different things. Because if you believe they're the same thing, every country on Earth is an ongoing colonization project. Literally every country on Earth has some kind of ethnic minority group that has longer standing claims to the land than the people who currently rule. Vosh, Ethan just ranted about Frogan on stream for 15 minutes and called her a freak monster, etc. I mean, she's kind of acting like a freak. She's defending Hamas and like acting like a loser, lunch table politics LARPer whenever anyone like challenges her positions on it. I mean, I don't really blame him for being upset with her.
Let me read what I wrote. I don't want to say anything out of pocket, but I don't like that. People are talking about me unfollowing Frogan, so I'll explain why. Since she wants to talk about murdering children and burning families alive in their safe houses is not a revolution, it's a massacre. And if you think that's what revolution is supposed to look like, I'm terrified for your idea of an American revolution. Okay? She goes, but as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. She's implying that what Hamas is doing is right. I mean, she's basically all but saying it. She's saying, as soon as a revolution happens in the Middle East, then all of a sudden what they're doing is wrong. She's saying, in her opinion, that what they're doing is right because it's a revolution. And what she's talking about is Hamas. It's up to 1,500 people, innocent civilians, not settlers, not combatants, children, babies, elderly. People were viciously and, it was just wanton, blatant, full-blown murder, massacre, depravity. They found 40 dead babies at this kibbutz where like tons of people got killed.
I think that's misinfo. I don't know. Again, it doesn't really matter. I gotta say, man, the quest to socialism pill Ethan Klein is not going great. First, he has to deal with Hassan Xi Jinping, please shit in my mouth, Piker, advocating for socialism with Chinese characteristics, aka no socialism. And now we have actually socialism is when you think Hamas is based.
Now, I don't know if they were beheaded, okay? And some people really care about that detail. So to me, the 40 babies is enough to just, I think shooting a baby's body with the AK-47 is barbaric enough. I don't really so much care if their heads were cut off or not. And I don't have a hard time believing that they would. Shooting a baby with the AK-47, yeah, I'm sure their greater humanity prevents them from doing whatever your imagination can run wild with. Sorry, I don't want to know you. And I think it's disgusting what you said, and I think shame on you. That's what I honestly think, And I'm going to sit here till I'm blue in the face talking about how the IDF is a genocidal criminal institution that Netanyahu should be tried for war crimes. He should immediately resign. I can tell you that the West Bank settlements...
Are they 14-year-olds or is this the product of Hassan's rhetoric? Frogan is like my age, isn't she? No excuse. But again, like what else would you expect from someone in like Hassan's orbit, right? Like you kind of have to have that kind of attitude towards this shit to be in those good graces. One of his mods too.
Are basically an act of war. And I don't really believe even that settlers are civilians in the same way that the people who were murdered are. I can tell you that what Israel's doing in Gaza is as evil as it can be, as evil can be. Just what they're now doing in response to this, which is blowing up, leveling neighborhoods, cutting off water, power, food. I can say that till I'm blue in the face, so I don't want to hear any goddamn person saying that I'm a Zionist, which, by the way, is a dog whistle for anti-Semitism. I'm not a Zionist. The only reason people call me a Zionist is because I'm Jewish, so explain to me how that's not anti-Semitic. Not a Zionist. Never talked about Zionism. Never talked about Israel having a God-given right to exist, or whatever the Zionists, whatever they think Zionism is, or whatever it means. So, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? If you can't acknowledge the horrors that are befalling both sides, then whatever peace you're fighting for.
Oh, Frogan responded. I did not say murdering children, burning family alive is revolution. I mean, didn't you? Leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of a revolution happening in America, but as soon as it happens in the Middle East, what they're doing is wrong. And the only thing we knew at this point was that, like, Hamas had gotten loose and killed civilians. So, like, what are you endorsing if not that? Like, what other... That was tweeted way before the baby shit came out, though. First of all, I think a lot of the baby shit is misinfo. But even if it wasn't, it doesn't change the fact that Hamas is not a revolutionary organization. They're a jihadist organization. Like, if they break through, they're not going to engage in some kind of principled, like, guerrilla warfare tactic to defend Palestinian people. They're going to kill people. We know they kill civilians. They kill Palestinians, too. They're bad. It's a tactic Israel specialized in for over 70 years, but I haven't seen you post about their murders. Your first post here in the past week is to call me out for supporting Palestinians fighting back. What is revolution to you, if not overthrowing the prison guards that keep 2 million people from leaving? Oh yeah, dude. Dude, I'm not saying that Hamas is revolutionary, but let me say Hamas is revolutionary. Basically, what Frogan is saying here is, I do not endorse Hamas doing the bad things, but I endorse them doing the good things. But they don't do the good things. They didn't overthrow the prison guards. That's not a thing that happened. Like, this is such a juvenile, childish way of understanding geopolitics. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Israel is a modern military. Like, you think you're going to, like, shoot a couple of fence guards and then all the Palestinian people are going to flood out and retake the land? Like, what do you think is happening here? This is LARPy aesthetic obsession with revolutionary action for the sake of aesthetics, with no understanding of what could meaningfully be done to improve things for the Palestinian people. This is the idea that not Hassan, well, I guess Hassan too. The idea that Hamas is doing anything good for the Palestinian people is wrong. The Hassan political sphere has been deteriorating for a while, which sucks because Hassan could easily be such a powerful advocate, but he wants to defend China and shit. Yeah, he seriously, he could have been like such a powerful force for like aligning people properly, but it's you know.
I would.
Oh, he's talking about the new thing now.
Again, she's supporting Hamas. Hamas murdered. She's actually proving my point.
Real question: what did Hamas hope come from this? Hamas, they're jihadists. They want to die for Allah. They want to martyr themselves for Islam. And they want to galvanize the IDF into killing as many Palestinians as possible, to make more Palestinians join the cause, to kill as many Jews as possible. It's just bad. They're not the right approach. They're not a revolutionary force. How much of this do you think is legit anti-Semitism with the left? I don't think it's as much as some people want you to believe, but I do think the left has some degree of an issue with anti-Semitism. It's nowhere near the right, like, obviously. I think that people on the left are weirdly okay with downplaying the discrimination that is that Jewish people face, you know? Like, I do find it a little bit strange that people on the left will talk about hate crimes against gays or blacks or Hispanics or whatever, but Jewish people are by far the most likely to be targeted with hate crimes, and I feel like no one brings it up. I wonder if a lot of people on the left have internalized the idea that because Jewish people are economically quite well off on average in America, that means that it's, like, not a problem.
Because if that's what, you know, if that's what overthrowing the prison guards looks like to you, then I'd really hate to think what you're going to do to the capitalist pigs in America when it's time to reclaim what's yours.
Why are you so sure the babies thing is misinfo? Because the statement 40 decapitated babies just sounds like the kind of thing that would just be said and get picked up on. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter to me. Whether Hamas did it or didn't, I still condemn Hamas. It doesn't, like, you know, it's not like I'm not out here arguing on the perceived moral worthwhileness of Hamas, okay? You know, sure, they did it, whatever. It doesn't change the moral equation for me.
She goes, that keeps 2 million people from leaving, shelling their homes, wanton, only killing civilians, mostly children, for the past 70 years to the approval of the international community. The American Revolution was fought over for less than the unrelenting massacre of their people. So again, she has not a single
I need to get a blue check mark. Everyone has a blue check mark by now, man. I want a blue check mark. I barely tweet. Maybe I'll tweet more if I have a blue check so I can get $5.
of
Don't give in.
empathy.
Meh.
Not a single shred for the mass murder of children. She doesn't even want to hear it. In fact, her selective outrage is stunning. She says, I've only ever heard you talk about me supporting Palestine. Are you dumb? Like, how dare you even say that, you scumbag? Did you think about this before you wrote it? Shame
he's
on you.
mad.
How dare you defend what you said and to even come for me as if I don't support Palestinians? Sorry. This statement just proved my point. This is the last time I ever spoke on Israel. I posted on Twitter. I posted on Instagram. I read it on the show. The Israel government is making me sick. Even if Hamas is operating out of civilian billions, it doesn't justify the total destruction.
Hila still has family in Israel. Well, yeah, she's Israeli. Of course she has family there. She was in the IDF.
Of that building. It's inhumane. Netanyahu's a piece of shit warmonger and needs to go. As a dual citizen, I love Israel and the Israeli people. They deserve a government that actually believes in peace and not force and violence. The ultra-right Jewish settlers are among the greatest provocateurs in the world. They're shameless, hateful, fueled by religious zeal, and enabled by the Israeli government. I wish the settling and repossession of Palestinian land would stop. I wish the bombing in Gaza would stop. Gazans deserve to live in a life free of fear. And for all the crimes Hamas has committed, we must always remember that they are not Palestine, which somehow you don't seem to understand either. The Israeli government holds all of the power, and it's on them to stop the violence and show a true willingness to peace. That's the last time I talked about Israel. Do you want to keep saying this shit about me, or do you want to apologize? Because it sounds to me like you want to double down. Actually, you definitely did double down. You said Hamas was murdering their prison guards. Kids, you psycho. They're murdering children with a machine gun, dude. That's the prison guard you're talking about? But, and then you can't possibly understand.
Jesus, he's so mad. He's so mad. Yeah.
And why Israel...
We're not even live.
No matter how reductive you want to be. What? You just said it.
There's a part 2 to her tweet.
Okay, there's a part 2. Let's read it.
Who's that?
Couldn't make this much worse. Is it under or...
Refresh, she posted it a bit later.
Dude, I didn't say that it's okay to kill families and children. I'm just saying this is a revolution and Hamas are our freedom fighters. What do you expect them to do? Not kill kids and rape women and burn families alive? That's just how we do it. She continues, it goes without saying murdering civilians is horrible. It doesn't go without saying, actually. It doesn't. It's at the heart of my criticism against Israel. Yeah, I understand that. It's at the heart of my criticism.
Ultimately, it's just about the conflation between Hamas and Palestinian liberation. Even a cursory understanding of Hamas makes it clear that they are not only not Palestinian liberators, but they are like the worst possible people for it, and they have been chosen for that position by Netanyahu and his cronies. Like, they are not only bad at Palestinian liberation, they are so bad at it that they have been essentially groomed into their position by the opposition.
Ethan has never got this heated about genocide in Palestine. Their children have been murdered for decades and made one Twitter post in 2020. What the f have you done for it? You pathetic, house-dwelling, virtue signaling nobody.
Oh, the next Leftovers episode is going to be fucking brutal.
Except bitching on Twitter and downplaying wanton violence. What do you need me to do? What would become acceptable for you? What I'm seeing is my, quote, political allies on the left excusing and cheering on Hamas. Sorry for thinking that's f***ed up. Especially, I hate to break it to you, as a Jew who's a dual citizen of Israel and my wife is Israeli. Sorry to surprise you with that fact that I don't want everybody in Israel to die, which is Hamas's explicit goal.
Damn, I wish I could
Freedom
call in.
fighters, execution squad. How much more do you need me to talk about how fucked up Israel is for you to get it out of your thick, dumb, moronic, virtue signaling, plebeian skull? Shame on you, you dumb, monstrous, blood hungry.
You want to call in to hype him up or what? Yeah, I don't have the power to just call into a 43K live stream. Nice as that would be. See if Ethan will host you on Leftovers to ambush us online. Doing that in person, like they're both at the desk and Ethan like steps aside and I pop out from under his side of the desk, you know? Hello, everyone. Howdy.
You know, I don't know how much more I can tell you how much I despise the genocidal, warmongering, war criminals in the Israeli government. I don't know how much more I can explain that to you. But guess what? I also can believe that Hamas are monsters. The problem is you can't.
Most heated poop.
You
I've ever
can't
seen.
do that. Hamas are freedom fighters to you. They are part of the revolution. And so that's your problem, that you don't have that imagination.
I've already
So,
DM'd
fuck
Ethan.
you, Frogan. How about that?
His wife was in the IDF. Do keep in mind, everyone in Israel has been a part of the IDF. They conscript everyone, man and woman. It's mandatory. 2 years, right? Yeah. So if you're an Israeli citizen, unless you're willing to go to jail, you are a part of the IDF. 2 years for women, 3 for men? Gotcha.